You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Hollywood Video was a thing, so it's been 15 years, and I'm not gonna lie, rewatching this made me really happy because it was a fun walk down memory lane. So I'm reviewing The Ladies' Man, the film based on the SNL sketch of the same name. Of course, Leon Phelps, played by the brilliant Tim Meadows. Let me talk about Tim Meadows a little bit. So, you know him, of course, from SNL, of course, Mean Girls, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, which is I will stand by the fact that's one of the most underrated comedies ever. Bob's Burgers, of course, he's got a reoccurring role in there as Mike the Mailman, which he's great on. He's on the Goldbergs. Tim Meadows is always working. And that's something that's actually really cool, because when you think about SNL alums, I really do think he's one of the more underrated ones. I think him and Phil Hartman, and I know Phil Hartman went on to do News Radio and everything, but I do think Phil Hartman's work on SNL is quite underrated, as well as Tim Meadows' work. But between all those things that I just mentioned prior, he has a great cameo on The Office as that other branch manager. Tim Meadows has been in a lot of stuff that I enjoy, and he's always one of those guys where he's always going to be good for a laugh. He's really like a great. Someone that's so great in your batting rotation that that they're always going to get you a hit. Even when he's in stuff that may not be, that may not even be good, he finds a way to go ahead and get, a laugh out of it. But rewatching this, so I remember SNL did a lot of these movies based on their sketches. They did Superstar, which I'm actually sitting here and realizing I've actually never watched. Maybe I'll randomly watch Superstar at some point. I feel like I saw Night at the Roxbury once. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, So maybe I'll watch those two just to kind of be a bit of a completionist. But this movie follows Tim Meadows, Leon Phelps. He is a radio host, and it's actually quite funny when you think about Loveline. I don't think Loveline is a thing anymore. I'm pretty sure it's not. But Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, those two goobers, they used to do that host that show, and so this actually kind of falls in line with that. This was made back in 2000, right? Yeah, and so the fact that it kind of called that would be a thing. Obviously, Howard Stern was at the peak of his powers in the 2000s, but that certain lane as far as the love, the sexual aspect, that is something that Dr. Drew and Carolla definitely tapped into. But we follow Michael Phelps, or Michael Phelps. If Michael Phelps was in this, it'd be a slightly different film. But we follow Leon Phelps, and I love the opening of this movie. This movie is directed by Reginald Hudlin, who went ahead and directed. Wow, he's a producer on Jane. Wow, that is okay. That's actually very funny. I had no idea he did. So, just looking through his filmography real quick, he was a producer on Django Unchained. He directed the original House Party, which, man, I'm sitting here and that's one of those movies I think I've seen, but I actually cannot really tell you anything about it. He went ahead and he produced Marshall, the Chadwick Boseman film. and he was an executive producer on the Boondocks, and on the Black Panther miniseries. Okay, let's go. So he's got, damn, that's actually quite impressive filmography. But he also went ahead and was an executive producer on that Sidney Poitier documentary that Apple did, which I would highly recommend if you've not checked that out. But yeah, so but watching this movie though, we follow Leon Phelps. He's hosting this radio show, and the FCC is starting to go ahead and not be super chill with a lot of the stuff he's saying. I completely forgot that the station manager, Bucky Kent, is played by Eugene Levy. I completely fucking forgot Eugene Levy is in this. And props to Eugene Levy. He might be, like, I think, like, him, Paul Rudd, you know, Julianne Moore, Nicole Kidman, like, as far as people who are, you know, like past 50, like, it looks like he's frozen in time. Like, he looks the same like he did in the first American Pie. He just got some gray. Like it's kind of wild how he looks exactly the fucking same. And he's not in this movie a lot, but I think something that we learned, especially if you're an SCTV fan, is that Eugene Levy is really great at maximizing his minutes, even if he's only in like a scene or two. So he's interacting with Julie in this movie. He's played by Karen Parsons, who of course you know from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, playing Hillary. And I will say too, she's aged beautifully. She's fucking stunning. She's gorgeous in this movie. And what I really like about her, especially when you go back and watch The Fresh Prince, yeah, she's playing the ditzy, you know, she's playing, you know, just this ditzy character. But you have to have great comedic timing even to do that shit. And her and Jeffrey, their back and forth was always just pristine, and actually one of the more, I think, fascinating relationships on the show. I stand by the fact I think they slept together. I stand by that, but that's one of my conspiracy theories. But I love her comedic timing in here, and her and Meadows work really well together. And she's working, and she's with some heavyweights in this movie. I mean, you have Billy Dee Williams in here, who plays Lester, who is hosting, not hosting, but he tends the bar at this hole-in-the-wall place that Leon and his band of misfits frequent. But he's also the narrator, but it's like meta narration, because Billy Dee Williams is talking to us, and there are points where Leon actually even comments. He makes this great meta joke saying, like, why do you give that same intro whenever I walk into the bar? And it's like, oh, okay, so this is a great fourth wall break. So there's shit like that where the movie really does kind of catch you by surprise. Just to get the elephant out of the room, out of the way, this is a 11%. Holy shit. It's an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what, y'all? Amelia Perez, I think, is still certified fresh, so fuck Rotten Tomatoes. This is why I tell y'all that Rotten Tomatoes is not gospel. The popcorn meter, the audience score is 42%. I still think that's actually quite, yeah, Amelia Perez is 72%, and Kind of Pregnant is 25%. This is way better than Kind of Pregnant. Give me a fucking break. But I really like the way that this movie does go ahead and set things up. It's just kind of an excuse for Tim Meadows, you know, to be the ladies' man, but to make a bunch of sex jokes. But it's also very short. The film is only like 84 minutes. Like, it's a quick watch, which I've been saying it, y'all. I love that we're getting back to this era of movies being like between 80 and like 94 minutes. I love that. Don't overstay your welcome. If you don't think you have enough to justify a film being 100 minutes plus, good. Keep it in that 90 range. I actually appreciate that. And that is the biggest compliment I can give this movie, is not only does the time fly by, it knows exactly what it wants to be. It gets in, it gets out, it does not overstay its welcome, it gives you some laughs, and that's it. And at the end of the day, kind of uniquely to horror, where, you know, things like sci-fi, you want to kind of be challenged and maybe have a moral at the end of the story. Uh, Comedies are just to make you laugh. And at the end of the day, as long as the film makes you laugh, it served its function in the same way that you want a horror film to scare you. If it's doing that, it's done most of its job. And from a comedy perspective, this shit had me laughing hard at multiple points. The whole opening to the film where he's going ahead and he's taking calls, and he's just saying he's saying outlandish shit. He even talks about how I'm not, I didn't go to college or anything for this, but I've done it with a lot of ladies and I have a PhD in Tang. Like, that's how I think that's like 2 minutes into the movie. It's like, all right, so the movie is very upfront about what it is, and it gives you a chance to definitely take the off ramp if you want to. I know you mentioned Eugene Levy's Bucky, basically saying if they get another FCC fine that Leon will go ahead and get fired. I I love to cut to Julie, and she's like, "Oh no, Leon's like completely toned down his act." And then they cut back to Leon. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, you gotta get 2 thumbs up there like the Fonz, like, hey." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And again, this is like 7 minutes into the movie, and again, I appreciate, like, I know I don't love it like a lot of people do, but it's kind of weirdly similar to The Substance in that way. Like, The Substance lets you know pretty early on that when the shoe drops, it's going to be fucking intense when it does. So I appreciate this movie leaning to its absolute absurdity. I mean, a man ends up literally eating a piece of shit in this movie. Like, the movie is not going for highbrow comedy, but I do think there's I think there are better comedic bits in here than people give the movie credit for. There's a point where Leon does get fired, so he goes ahead and is basically trying to go ahead and get another radio job. Him and Julie are working together. So he gets too drunk, and she goes ahead and helps get him home. Leon lives on a on a houseboat, or as Julie calls it, what does she call it? Like a trailer park of the sea, which was which was actually quite good. But she goes ahead, she takes him onto the houseboat. He falls on the waterbed, and she goes ahead and accidentally flips this switch, and so these very fine liquor glasses pop up, and some music starts playing, and the lights dim, and she's like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And there's this, and I still remember this even from before I saw it, because it's one of those things that stood out in my mind for being so absurd. Leon has a pina colada butt lotion, and Julie's like, what the hell? Where do you find this stuff? And without missing a beat, he goes, usually like Kmart or Walmart. And I laughed so goddamn hard I had to pause the movie, because that's the exact type of shit Walmart or Kmart would sell. I love that bit, and that bit really does make me laugh. The main crux of this movie, the main plot is that Leon gets fired. He's trying to go and find another job, but also he has this group of men who have been wronged by him because Leon has slept with their partners, and so they're after him and want to cut his balls off. Like, that's actually what they say. The group is led by Lance DeLune, who's played by Will Ferrell. And I will say, Will Ferrell, another one of those people who I think he's just who's aged really well, but really looks like he has since Anchorman for years for me, really for like the last decade plus. I think Will Ferrell's aged really well, but it's very funny to see young Will Ferrell here. His character is clearly supposed to be gay, and it's actually very interesting. It's actually quite interesting commentary that he has these moments where he's clearly about to come out of the closet, and he just pushes that shit deep down. You're like, oh wow, that's like, there's actually something to explore here. The bit where he is training for the Olympics, and that him and his wrestling sparring partner have these intense wrestling, these intense wrestling sessions. A point where he even says like the satisfaction you get from pinning down a man and making him squeal like a piglet. And I, so the line itself already is like, oh shit, that's intense. What the fuck? But there's this pause that Farrell gives when he goes like screaming like it's almost like he's like he's envisioning it as he's saying. He goes like pin someone down like a piglet. And it's such specific delivery that I was like, I really like the fact that you actually put that much oomph into delivering that line. So I do want to read the poem that Leon shares that gets himself fired. And I read, "What is love? What is the longing in our hearts for togetherness? Is it not the sweetest flower? Does not this flower of love have the fragrant aroma of fine, fine diamonds? Does not the wind love the dirt? Is not love not unlike the unlikely not it is unlikened to? Are you with someone tonight? Do not question your love. Take your lover by the hand. Release the power within yourself. You heard me. Release the power. Tame the wild cosmos with a whisper. Conquer heaven with one intimate caress. That's right. Don't be shy. Whip it out. Whip out everything you got and do it in the butt." By Leon Phelps. And I love that so much because like a punchline's coming. Like one has to be coming. But phrasing. But the way he delivers it with such like earnestness, you buy into it. And then it hits you with that punchline, and it's fucking great. I love it. I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with this movie. It is absurd. It is absurd in the way that Hot Rod is absurd. And while Hot Rod is, a funnier film, that's one of my favorite comedies maybe ever. This is a movie that rewatching it, I was actually like kind of surprised by it, honestly. I always see that I've seen this guy in a lot of stuff. He plays a lot of side characters, but Kevin McDonald, you know him as voicing Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch. Of course, he was on Kids in the Hall, Sky High. Recently he was the voice of the director in for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which I'm really fucking sad that did not get a second season. What the fuck? But he plays the mailman here, and he only has one scene, and he's just such a dick about it. Like, he's like, "Oh no, your mail, it's falling to the water," and he like looks at him like sideways while he's doing it, and Leon even comments, "You're a bad mailman." Like, it's a one-off gag, but it was something that like there are just those moments in the movie where I found myself just laughing really hard. I didn't mention him yet, but Lee Evans, who plays the latest guy who got screwed over by Leon's wing, you know him of course from Mouse Hunt, Fifth Element, Something About Mary. He and I mean this respectfully, he plays a great cuck. He plays a great cuck, because when he catches his wife cheating on him with Leon, he hears his wife moaning, and he's like, "Do you have a man in there?" But it's not nearly, like it's he's almost whimsical about it. Like, "What, do you have a man in there?" And then of course he realizes that he's being cheated on. It's almost like a switch goes off. He's like, "What the fuck?" But his descent into madness about this whole situation is actually really fucking funny, and him and Farrell have really good chemistry. So and I will say too, Will Ferrell's wife in this movie, who's played by Tiffany Thiessen in Lingerie, Lord have mercy, and also oh my gosh, Joanne Moore is in here. She actually did a Ladies Man sketch when she hosted SNL. I think that was like 98. She hosted it. again, Julianne Moore can still get it, by the way. But it was actually funny to see her playing, I think, the same person that she played in the sketch. Because I think they actually mentioned that she was a clown on the sketch. I could be remembering correctly, but I'm pretty sure they actually like allude to that or flat out say it. And there's a whole scene. You only get one scene with Julianne Moore, sadly. But yeah, that scene is a trip as well. But at the end of the day, and I apologize, God, before I wrap up here. I really liked. I mentioned Billy Dee Williams. I think he's actually really funny in here. Him being the narrator was a very, very wise choice. And then John Witherspoon, may he rest in peace. He's having a blast in here, and him and Meadows get several scenes together, and they just get to riff off each other. Him, Witherspoon, and Billy Dee Williams, and it's really fun stuff. So, I had a lot more fun with this than I thought I would, to be honest. I hadn't seen this in so long. And then I to shout out real quick, Jill Talley, who's in here. She plays the female member of the group, the bar patrons. She plays Candy, and you know her from a ton of voice work, including American Dad, SpongeBob. She was Cindy in Little Miss Sunshine and Mrs. Timmerman in Sky High, for point of reference. But pardon me. But she's really funny in here too. Just when you get comedians together like this who know how to riff off each other and know how to make this shit work, you're gonna get, usually at best, or at worst, fun stuff. But the camaraderie between the bar patrons actually does work really well. So as far as a grade, this is kind of hard to grade. Like, I really did enjoy this. I'd still go C+ on it. It's a perfect thing to watch on streaming. It's on Paramount Plus, but it's fun. It's actually really fun. There's also a musical number in here that I that I was shocked by and actually forgot was in here. I was like, oh yeah, there's a musical number in here. And a shockingly good music. Like, it's better than anything you see in Amelia Perez. It is a shockingly good musical number. And I will say, when we get to kind of the final battle, as it were, where Leon has to go ahead and wrestle Will Ferrell's lance, the way that shit goes down just had me laughing. So I really enjoyed this. So yeah, C+. I'd actually recommend checking this out. I think you will be kind of surprised at how much you might like this movie. But yeah, it's fun stuff. So yeah, a C+ for The Ladies Man. But yeah, y'all, Ladies Man, have you seen it? Let me know what you thought of it if you have seen it. For the rest of Black History Month, we'll have other stuff, including, like I said, Malcolm X review, my review for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The stream of it is already up on the channel, and as well as the audio. Have a review coming up for Captain America Brave New World on the 17th. Gonna do a live stream for that. Probably do that around 9 p.m. Eastern. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, gonna be reviewing Malcolm X with my mom by the end of the month. We got a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipeline for y'all. So, but everyone, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, take care of each other. Find the show on YouTube at The Real Pineapple. That's REEL Pineapple. You can find me on IG and TikTok at JHunter Real Pineapple. That's JHunter and then REEL and then Pineapple. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Black Shazam. Follow me on Blue Sky at realpineapple.bsky.social, and listen to the podcast pretty much wherever you listen to them. SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneUp, and Samsung Podcasts, to name a few. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you're having a good Black History Month. I hope you're staying safe out there. Check in on your people. Stay safe. Take care of each other. Give someone a hug. Give someone a compliment. We could all use some more positivity. And never forget, as always, to keep it moving.